Hey all, Cohen here. So it's been a minute. I've honestly not been able to get myself into a mentally clear situation in which I can remember a lot of stuff that went on when I was in Austin. And so now I'm gonna do a bit of a video about it. Um, I'm not gonna do a whole, get into the whole thing. I'll go over, what happened during my surgery, and then I'll probably do another video talking about my recovery because that's been a lot. Normally I would have had a video up already. I would have done one probably the day after I got home, but it's been really rough recovering this time, and it's probably because I came home and ended up getting a sinus infection, and then a couple days later I ended up getting a UTI, and I have the catheter in still, so I've not been feeling great at all. I've been on a lot of medication and just feeling completely out of it, and I'm kind of starting to get to a point where I feel a little bit better, but that's only because of a medication that I ended up starting to take recently, which I've been on before and I will discuss again, and that will be in the next video. But so I had done a video prior talking about my travel experience and so what I'll talk about in this video is just the surgery. So this was my 8th phalloplasty surgery, and I went in for it on October 11th, and I was first thing in the morning, so I believe I got there at, I want to say 5 o'clock, 5:30ish, and then my surgery was for around 7, so I think I got there at 5, but either way, I showed up, I got there, checked myself in, and then my wife got all the information that she needed, and they got all the information from her that they would need to contact her when I was done. And so I said goodbye, and I went in the back and got all ready for everything. And usually I just try to I nap because normally I am one of the first surgeries in the morning. So I've gotten into the mode of just going there, getting changed, and getting into the hospital bed, and then napping. And when they come in to do the IV and stuff, then I'm awake and whatnot. And when they pop in to have the anesthesiologist talk to me, or the surgeons or nurses and stuff. But yeah, so that part went by pretty quickly. It wasn't like it dragged or anything. I actually felt like the time span that I was waiting was very short this time, but it still was about the 1.5 hours to 2 hour mark that I got there, and then when I got taken into surgery. So before I went in, we discussed what was going to be done, and what I did have done was I had a fistula at the base of my phallus that I had since stage 1, and that's generally how I was peeing up until my last surgery. So pretty much my last surgery, if you watch the video, I still had the fistula, but my urethra was closed up, and the fistula healed quite small, so the only thing I really had to do was put my finger over the hole when I was going pee. Otherwise, I was good to go standing to pee. Sorry, hold on. The medications that I take make my mouth very dry, so I might have to take a drink a couple times in the video, which I normally don't do, but yeah. So that was getting fixed, and then also I had mentioned in a previous video that like there was kind of like a kink or an indent. So like at the one side of my phallus, there was just like a little indent on the side, and it kind of like pulled the bottom of my phallus down a bit. So they had to like release that and fix that little kink. I had my right testicle put back in. I had liposuction done on my donor leg because above the graft and below the graft, so the upper part of my thigh and the part of my thigh just above my knee was quite bulky, and it was making me mobily a little bit slower than I should be. So I had raised that concern to Dr. Crane when we were talking, and he said that it was no problem to have liposuction done on that, which I was very happy for, because when I had inquired about it here in Canada and asked like would that be something that would be covered under OHIP for my surgery, I was told like no, because that would be cosmetic. And I had asked somebody at Dr. Crane's office as well, and I think they misunderstood me and didn't kind of grasp the part where it was stopping my mobility and it was becoming sore and stuff like that, like heavy, and I have bad knees, so it's not good for me to carry extra weight on my body, especially like where my knees are. So at first, the person that I can't remember who it was, and I'm not gonna throw names out either, but yeah, I was just, I think they assumed that I was speaking cosmetically, and when I talked to Dr. Crane, he said no, like it's something that they could do, so they ended up doing that. Trying to think, I think that's all that I had done. It's like, when you talk about each individual thing, like even certain things, it's broken down into smaller things, so it seems like there's more. And I've had so many surgeries that sometimes it's just like, oh, was that it? Was that all that went on? But yeah, Dr. Crane came by and explained everything, and there was also like at the where my urethra stopped, it was like a little bit underneath my phallus, and that I think was because there had been a stitch there that popped too soon, so that opened up my urethra, like, so I had a bigger urethra opening, and so I had mentioned that, and just if it could be like stitched back up, so that because sometimes what it would do is like, not often, but like sometimes the pee would like not shoot backwards, but like kind of just like, because of the kink and because of where the urethra was opened a little bit more underneath the phallus, it just was sometimes an issue. So that got fixed. But yeah, I went in for surgery. I don't, like I've said before, I really don't have any issue. I go in there and it's like, knock me out and let's do this thing. So that's pretty much what they did. I don't have much recollection of waking up. I know that when I wake up from surgery and they tell me that I'm good to go and they bring me my clothing, I'm literally like changed and ready to go very quickly. So I did end up, I don't know, I think I'm gonna say I probably got back to my hotel at around sometime around 3 maybe. I'm not sure. I should have asked my wife that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter the time that I got back to my hotel. But yeah, it was a day surgery, so that went well. So the next day when I had changed my dressings, one thing that I did not realize, I guess, it is not a big deal because it is what it is, and like, I'm not a surgeon, so you know, people are probably going to be like, oh, you woke up and you had something done that you didn't know was, and it's like, no, I knew, I just didn't know the exact process. And because Crane's my surgeon and I do trust him, and like he explains everything anyways, um, in such a way that, you know, I'm not gonna worry about like, oh, you're doing that. It was one of those like, I need this, this, and this fixed, and as long as you're doing that, then you know you're gonna do what you gotta do. So the only thing that I was not fully, like, not fully aware of, or maybe I just wasn't in the headspace to fully remember chatting about it, but so in order to fix the kink and the fistula, and obviously the little bit that didn't, where the stitch popped at the by the end of my urethra, they ended up literally reopening my phallus where my urethra is completely again, so that it could all be restitched up back together properly, and it wouldn't just be like cutting a little area and then stitching that back up and hoping that it heals properly without having any pull or possible kinking again or something like that. So when I did go change that, I was like, oh, they like did the whole thing, which after I thought about it, I was like, well, that makes the most sense, because if they just went and fixed the little things, like how would the rest of it kind of like with the kink, and like how would that make it like straighten out or get rid of that if they didn't do that? So sorry. So yeah, like the biggest incision really that I had was that they reopened my phallus along where my urethra was and then restitched that back up. And then I had, well, I have some stitches that are at the top of my scrotum, where they put in the testicular implant again. At this point, it is sitting a little bit high, but I'm not concerned about it because it's not giving me any issue. And I know that over time, like even with my testicle that is like all good, it did take a bit for things to like settle and stuff. So I'm gonna just keep waiting on that, because over the 3 weeks that I've been post-op now, it has like moved a little bit from where it was, and it's not as like tight. So I'm not overly concerned, and the only reason that I was a bit concerned that it might be sitting a little high and maybe not come down is because I did have a testicle removed, and there was a little bit of like skin that did or have to be like tidied up and moved because my testicular implant had started to erode out. So yeah, but they fixed that, and I didn't see any issue with that. Obviously, with liposuction, if you follow me on Instagram, I did post a few pictures of my leg. I haven't been keeping up with taking pictures of it just because it's a bruise, and most of it now is just like really light yellow and almost completely gone, so that's good. And the only thing that I have are, I have an incision at the bottom of my donor area, so just above my knee on the inner side of my thigh, kind of. I have a little incision, and then just at the top of my thigh where the graft starts is a little incision for that. And then I have a suprapubic catheter that is in, which I despise. I literally hope I never have to deal with another one of these again. It's not enjoyable, it's not fun, it's annoying. But when I left the hospital, obviously I had the catheter tube with the bag, and the tubes on those things are so long, and I am only 5'4", so like I had to literally almost wrap that tube around my waist and then like put the bag, like the little um there's spots on the bag that like you can hook it onto stuff, and I usually just like hooked it onto like the side of my pants. I'm saying a lot. I apologize. It's from the medications that I'm on. I'm trying to think and not make this a super long video, but anyhow, um, that's pretty much what happened, and I was feeling quite well right after surgery and the next few days after that. So, the only thing was that I did have to switch hotels, and I was 2 days post-op, so that was like stressful. There was quite a few things that were just not okay, and it was becoming an issue, and there I go again. So for the first little bit afterwards, I was doing really well. So what I will do is the next video I'll get into that, but yeah, that's pretty much my surgery. Like it always seems more in depth than what, like it's definitely really in depth, but it just sounds more complex because when you're looking at your paperwork to see like what they say is going to go on, it's just a lot of medical terms that have very long words and sound very intense. So it does seem like it would be a lot more to explain, but I guess because I've had so many surgeries, and because sometimes they've been broken up into smaller ones, or I've only needed certain things because it's really been trying to fix things that did not exactly go 100% the way that they were supposed to, which is nobody's fault, and I can't really blame anyone for that, and I know that things are gonna happen, and this time there were things that happened as well, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that everything is all good. Even being 3 weeks post-op, I know most people are told to keep their catheter in for 3 weeks, but my body literally just starts to hate the catheter and give me problems, so I've actually never had a catheter past 2 weeks. I've been able to take it out without having any issues regarding taking it out. But this time, because I have a UTI, it is in, and I was told to keep it in 2 extra weeks, so that would be 4 weeks, and that would be the longest. So this coming Friday is when I'm supposed to be able to start trying to pee again, and then hopefully get this sucker out because it's driving me up the wall. Mentally, it's just been really rough. The surgery overall, like I said, was pretty much, if I think about it, minus the lipo on my leg, my last surgery was pretty much the exact same thing. I had my phallus stitched back up to create a new urethra, and that went well. The only thing I ended up with was that little fistula, and I had my testicular implants put in, and unfortunately I had a hematoma, and I'm just gonna say, in my personal opinion, I was concerned about it before I left Austin, and I saw a person, like a clinical personal assistant of my surgeons, and they were just saying like it's not a big deal, it's no issue and stuff like that. If you watch some videos that are before this, there's more in depth about that issue, but overall it's been a long 3 years and 2 months, and I am grateful. it's just been a lot, and I wish that maybe it didn't take as long, but there's no way that you can really control that. And um, I haven't had the worst issues. It's not like it's been fun or the best situations at times, but there's still like the outcome that ends up being what I am looking for, what I was looking for, and what I would be happy with. And, you know, I will take minor fixes over having a big issue any day. It's just one of those things where it is physically, mentally, and emotionally draining to go through, especially when you have so many things that you have to have done. But yeah, I feel like this video wasn't the best description or info video. However, if you have any questions, you can always ask. And if, like I said, if I'm being perfectly honest, pretty much everything except for the liposuction on my thigh, which is quite a basic thing, it was pretty much exactly like my last surgery. And I don't want to get too much into like post-op and recovery because that's going to be more info than I would like to add to this video because this one's already long enough. And as you can tell, I'm not fully feeling myself yet. So obviously this video isn't going to be something where it's like super informational and super medically termed related and in depth. It's just letting you know what happened during my surgery and that I made it out all good and that, you know, what was done was done. That sounds really ominous. You know what I mean? Like, the procedure that I had done was ABCD. I went in for my surgery, things went well, and I woke up and went back to the hotel that I had been staying in. So there's not really too much to go into depth with that anyways, but wanted to let you know what went on, and my next video I will talk about recovery. So that would be the next day after I had gotten back home or back to my hotel and had been 1 day post-op. So I will pick up where I left off there when I have the time to make another video. I just figured I should get one out at least, and I was feeling pretty decent right now, even though it's like, technically it would be 4 in the morning, but it's daylight savings time, so it's technically 3 in the morning. So yeah, I'm a little tired, but not, I feel decent right now. So wanted to get that out there, and I will end this now and talk to y'all later. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.